Good afternoon, good evening, everybody, where you're joining us from. This is another episode of the Power BI Diaries. So, this is where we come together to work on a Power BI project during the live session. So, we pick on a particular data set and we try to walk you through thought process and as well as show you how to use Power BI to solve this particular kind of problem. So it is a place for aspiring data analysts or data analysts to come together and learn. So that is why we're doing this. We come together once every 2 weeks. We work on different analytics projects and we try to walk you through it. So today we are going to be working on a particular project. Okay, and this project, the data sets, I'll share that in the chat. So in case you want to follow us as we're working here, you want to lay your hands on the data set and just kind of follow us as well. So I'll share the link rather in the chat, the link to all the data sets that we're going to be working on, as well as our implementation guide. So you'll be seeing two different files there. One is the Excel file that has the data set, and the other is the Word document that contain implementation guide. So again, it is just our own guide. You can work on it, you can tweak it, you can make it better. Whatever we are doing live here, we're not saying it is the silver bullet. You can always work on it. Okay, you want to ensure that when you're working on a project, you do not just tackle the descriptive analysis, you want to as well work on the diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive. In fact, if you want to uh, do the cognitive as well, the end goal is to help the business make the right decision at the end of the day. So I wouldn't want to bore you with a lot of introduction. So I have with me again today Mercy Olaoluwa. So we're working on a project, Superstore. It's an e-commerce platform. They've got data about the product they sell, who are the people that are buying their product, from where are they buying their product. They even have a record of the product that have been returned. They have their discount product, discount data, and a whole lot of things that have been recorded. So we want to help them look into the data for them to make the right decision regarding increasing their profitability, their profit margin, and every other thing that has to do with business decision making. So, Mercy, I will hand over to you while I share all I'll share the file, the link to the files in the chat, so you can start while I share all those things with the people in the chat. Okay, Mercy, over to you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back once again. So we are just going to get right into the analysis. We know that when we are working with Power BI, the first thing we need to do is to actually is to import the data, right? So that is just what we are going to do now. To do that, we can in the home tab click on Excel workbook because we are working with an Excel workbook. So then I'm going to select the workbook we are working with. It is named this Buy Now Superstore Project. If you've downloaded it, then so I'm just going to select it and then click on open. So now this table, in this Excel sheet, we have three sheets. One is the others sheet. The second one is the people sheet, and then we also have this third one, returns. We want to use everything, so I'm going to check this one. And when you check it, you can see the preview here. Then check this one also. That's what the preview looks like. And then I'm going to check this one also. And then that is the preview. So we don't want to load the data directly into Power BI. We want to do some data transformation, some manipulation in Power Query before we go ahead. So I'm going to click on transform data. So now we are inside Power Query now, and then the next thing to do is we have three tables, but we want to combine these three tables into one table. Well, at the same time, depending on the type of project you are working with, we can also take the three tables into Power BI and then connect them, build relationship between them using data modeling, but we can also combine the tables. So for this particular project, we want to combine the tables in Power Query. So we will just be working with one table inside Power BI. So now, how are we going to combine the tables? We'll be using merge queries. We will be using merge queries. So, and let's just have a look at the data that we have this orders table, and then we can see the different column headers that is here, and then we have the people table, which is actually a table that the table represents the like the managers in charge of each region, right? So this is the column header. We'll see transform that. Then we have the returns table. We all know when people buy things, sometimes they come around and then return some of those things for several reasons. Now, if I sold 100 products a particular week and then 10 of those products they are returned, it is very very important to have a record for the returned product, because if I keep telling myself that okay, I've sold 100 products but they returned 10 and I've actually refunded those people, that means I actually sold 90 products. So it's necessary to always include the returns product during the analysis. So we are not going to ignore this particular table. And the first thing we want to do now is to combine this returns table with this orders table. We want to bring in this column into the orders table. We want to know when we see an order here in the orders table, we want to have a column here that will tell us if that particular orders as was returned or if it was not returned. So how can we do this? Let's come here first and then make let's come here and then make the first row column headers, because the first row is actually the column header. To do that, you can click on this icon over here, then select use first row as headers. Now we've made the first row headers on that particular table, and let us do the same for the second table. So we are just going to come here and then make first row header also. Now we can go ahead to combine the different tables that we want to combine. So I'll click on the others table and then click on merge. I don't want to merge as new. I just want one table that includes everything I want. So then here I will select returns. And now, what is the common column between these two tables? What column is common to both the orders table and the returns table? That column is the order ID column. So we are going to select order ID here, and then we will also select order ID on this table. The join kind here is very okay. So far you put your orders table, you make sure orders table is the table here, and then the returns is the second one. Then this join kind is okay. And based on this selection, this data we can see here now, we can see that 800 of 990, 4 rows from the first table, there was a match. That's technically telling us that we have like 800 orders we are actually returned. Okay, so I'm just going to click on okay. Now we are not at our destination yet, so I'll click on this icon right here and then uncheck this. The only thing we need here is actually the return column. What we need is the return column, so I'm going to uncheck select all column and then check returned. Then I will also uncheck use original column name as prefix. Then I'll click on OK, and then now we have a column that is telling us if we have a column that is telling us if a particular order has been returned or if it was not returned. Okay, so now this is quite nice, but we can see we have null, and those nulls are actually for orders that we are not returned. So we don't want to leave those nulls like that. Instead of having nulls, I would prefer that we have no there, which is telling us that okay, this order we are not returned. So what can we do? I'm going to highlight this column, then right click, and then choose replace values. So value to find in this case is null, and then value to replace it with is what is no. So I'll simply click on OK, and then now we don't have nulls again in this column. We only have two values, which is yes or no. We are not done. We also want to combine the people's table with the others table. Let me just give us 1 minute to catch up for people that are following and they want to replicate this. Okay, time up. Let's go on. So now clicking on the others table again, we want to combine the people this people data set or query and then the others query. So clicking on the others query, so click on merge queries, just the same thing that we repeated earlier. Click the drop down and then choose people, then highlight the column that is common to the two. In this case, the column common to the two is actually region. So I need to come here and look for the regions column, which is this. I've selected region now, and then I've selected region here too. Also, the type of join is okay. So far, others table is at the top, and then the people table is here. So here we can see we have complete match. So that's very good. So I'm just going to click on okay now, and then the same thing, click on this icon. What do we need from the people's table? What we need is what the person column. So uncheck select all, and then click on person. Make sure this particular place is also unchecked, then click on OK, and now we have this person. We've now combined the two tables. Also, I want to rename this from person to manager because that makes like more sense to me. The names of people here represent the manager for each region. So I'm going to name that to manager. Okay. Now, because we really will not be needing this people and then the returns table inside Power BI. But at the same time, we cannot delete them. So what can we do? We can prevent them from loading into Power BI. Since we will not be using them in Power BI, we can just prevent them from loading. So I'm going to right click and then uncheck enable load. Now this means that when I close and apply, I will not see this table. Now I will do the same thing for returns table. So right click and then uncheck the enable load option. I believe now I am good, but also I'm going to confirm that all the columns have the right data type because that can disrupt whatever one is doing. So I need to be sure that all the columns have the right data type. So row ID, that's okay. Order ID, that is okay. Order date, Okay, let's just look through. I'll just change that to fixed decimal. Same thing with this one. Same. No, okay. Now this is meant to be percentage. Sorry. Uh, yeah. Okay, can replace it. So profit also fixed decimal, and then we are good. All the columns have the right data type now. So I'm just going to come here and click on close and apply. So our data is loading. So as I mentioned, we will not see the orders and the people's table. So we will not see the orders and we will not see people and returns table because we already prevent them from loading into Power BI. So we have only the orders table here. If you come to the table view here, we can see our data. Now we will still need one more table, and that is the date table. So we need one more table, which is the calendar or date table. To use the calendar or date table, we will use DAX. You can also create a calendar table using Power Query, but we'll be using DAX. So give me 1 minute. We'll be using DAX. Okay, so now we'll just go ahead to create our DAX table. We'll create our date table using DAX as I have mentioned. So click on, well, you can do that from any of the views, but I prefer to do it from the table view. So you need to click on new table because our calendar is going to be a table. So click on new table, and here I can write the DAX, but I already wrote it before. I already have it somewhere. So I'm just going to paste it in for the sake of time too. So this particular one is very comprehensive, but I'm going to remove some of it because we will not be needing those for this particular session. You will see the DAX code in the chat very soon. So if I check that now, we now have our date table or our calendar table. So moving forward now, we have two tables, which is the other table, and then we also have the calendar table. For us to use the two table in our analysis, we have to try to build a relationship between them. And how do we build a relationship? We use data modeling. So we need to connect the two tables. Now, what column is similar or relate can be related between the two tables? That is the date table. Mind you, in this orders table we have two date table. We have the order date and then we have the ship date. So we are really concerned about the order date. We are concerned about the ship date too, but for this relationship we are using the order date. So I'm going to grab the order date now, and I'm not going to drag it on the date table. And then this window comes up, everything is okay, and I'm just going to click on save. And now we've been able to build a relationship between our calendar table and our order table. I'm going to go back to Power Query very quickly, because one of the columns that we want to have is now we have order date and we have ship date. That means when our customers, when they place an order, okay, they place an order this day, when will that order, when will it go out of our store, when will it be shipped? Now if that time is too long, it can actually cause like issues. Some customers might not like it and all of that. So that we want to track that. So we are going to be creating a new column that is going to tell us the number of days between the order date and the ship date. Back to the date table now. Let me just explain the mayor, or try to explain the reason why we are creating a date table. Now, it's very important to have a date table. That is because part of the analysis that in this we'll be doing today is that we want to create a visualization that can be used to forecast maybe sales or profit or quantity. For those type of visualization, you need to have a dedicated date table. This is because the normal date that is in the data set, it might not be complete. There might be spaces in between different days or months, and that will not be very good for what we have. Also, when you want to do time intelligence analysis, like you want to know maybe sales for last period, maybe last month, last year, last quarter, for those type of analysis, for time intelligence analysis, it is very important that you have a dedicated date table and you're not just using the date in your data set. Also, if you have more than one fact table, in this case we have just one fact table. So if you have more than one fact table, it is very important for you to have a date table too, so that you can connect the date in the calendar table to the date in the different date table, and your you'll be able to filter your report very well. You will not have issues. Okay, so now to just explain this, what is going on with this mayor, we have add columns here first, but the very important thing that you need to know is the calendar auto. If I use calendar auto alone, it is going to give me the list of dates in this table. Like, it will give me the list of dates between the minimum and the maximum date in my data model. For example, let's assume the list date in my data model is January 1, 2016, and the latest date is December 31st, 2020. If you use calendar auto only, now it's going to create a table that contains a list of dates from January 1, 2016 to December 31st, 2020. So now, after, you can use only that, and then you can now create extra columns yourself by clicking on new column and then creating year, creating months, and all of these ones. But now you can try to nest the formula and the functions together, so that instead of doing those one by one, you can now use add columns, which is a function that you can use to add column to a table in Power BI. And because calendar auto will give us a table, you can put calendar auto inside add columns. So that's what is actually going on here. I hope we understand that now. So I said earlier that we want to actually create a new column that will tell us the number of days between the order date and the ship date, because that is part of what we want to track. So I'm going to go back to Power Query. I'll go back to the report view and then click on transform data. So here now I'm going to select the ship date, and I will also select the order date. So I've selected the order date, then I'll hold down control and select the ship date. Then I'll go to add columns. Now under add columns, I'll come to date now. Now other options are even blurred out because Power Query can actually judge that okay, we are working with date, so it's only date operations that we can do. Okay, so come to date now, and the last option here you can see subtract dates, subtract days. And what is the explanation for what the operation will do? It will create a new column that contains the number of days between the values in the first and second selected columns. That is exactly what we want. So clicking on that now, we have a new column. I think I selected the ship date first. Okay, I should have selected the ship date first. So let's just do that again. Ship date and then order date. So now we are good. So we can see now that the order in which you select the date is very important, so as not to get the wrong result. So we are going to name this column order processing time. I'm going to name the column order processing time, and then I'm going to close and load the data. So the next thing we need to do now is that we need to create some measures. Yes, we need to create some measures. And personally, while creating measures, I like to you can create measures and it will just be in any table, but I love my measures to be in a dedicated table, so that it will be more organized and I will know what is exactly going on. So I'm going to create that dedicated table for my measures. I'm going to come to table view here, then I'll click on new table. Okay, let's not use that method. I should see enter data somewhere. Yeah, in report view, click on enter data, though we are not planning to enter any data. Oh, that one already worked too well. It's fine. So I'm going to rename this table and call it mayor table. Then I'll click on load. I'm just going to delete this since I'm not using it. So in the mayor table now, we have a column which is actually an empty column, but that's not really our business for now. We'll delete it later. So I want to create my first mayor, which is the total sales. So but I will make sure I'm clicking on mayor table so that the mayor that is created will be deposited inside this table and not inside another table. So click on this, then click on new mayor. So I want to name the mayor total sales. Okay, yeah, I want to name the mayor total sales. And then what will be my formula? You might have started that okay, the formula is going to be sum, then you put in the sales column. Now that is in some cases that will be correct, but in this particular case that is not going to be correct, because remember, part of our data set we have the part of our data set we have the returned we have the returned orders. So if you just say okay, total sales equals to sum of sales, then you are inflating the sales amount, the revenue you've made, because some have been returned and then you refunded those money. Yes, I think someone was saying in the chat that we can trim the data. Yes, we can decide to filter out the returned order from Power Query and not even bring it into Power BI at all. But our analysis is meant to show something about the returned item too. So that is why we need to bring it into Power BI instead of just filtering it out from Power Query. So to do what we need to do now, we'll be using the calculate function, and then the expression is sum of what? Definitely sum of the sales column, but then we need to apply a filter, and then we need to make sure that for the returned column in the orders table, it's only going to perform the sum for rows in which the return column has the word no, which means for products that were not returned. So make sure your no is in quotes. Then let's close the brackets and then press enter. So maybe you want to have a look at the function for a while. So now let's see what we've created with the value for that. We can see that the total sales is actually 2.12 million. Remember, we've removed the returned item. You can try it out and create maybe another total sales just using sum of sales, and you will see that it will be more than this because the sales of the return item will also be included, and we don't want that, right? So now I'm going to remove this column 1, this empty column, and then immediately I do that, the measure table will jump up and it will be the first table in that is listed here. So we also need to do the same thing for profit, but I'm just going to copy this one and then still make sure I'm clicking on the measure table, then click on new measure again. I'll paste in what I've copied, but I will make necessary adjustments. You can decide to just rewrite your own again. So now we have our total profit. Now we also want to calculate something that is called profit margin. It's very good that we are making a particular amount of profit, but profit margin will tell us the proportion of our revenue, that is our profit. If our profit margin is too small, then we definitely need to do something about it. Okay, so to calculate profit margin, now profit margin is total profit divided by total sales. So I'm just going to select the measure table and then click on new measure again, and I want to use the divide function. So I'll use the divide function. Now I could have just say total profit over total sales without using the divide function. But what the divide function will help us to do is that it will prevent us from having like a divide by zero error in cases where the total sales for a particular product is zero. For example, let's say a particular product or a product category, we didn't sell anything on it. If well, it won't be possible to have a profit anyways, but in cases where it is possible to have a zero as a denominator while the numerator has a value, then we can have the divide by zero error to prevent that, so that your report will not be looking weird. It's better to use the divide function instead of just typing total profit over total sales. So our numerator is total profit and then the denominator is total sales. So we can just close the bracket and then press enter. Now I'm going to drag this inside here now. We can see a decimal, but we don't want decimal. We want to see it in form of percentage. So I'm going to select click on the measure and then come here and select percentage so that the formatting will be in form of percentage. I told us earlier that we are also interested in, what else are we interested in? We are interested in the the time between the shipping date and the other date. What do we call that particular column? Order processing time. I think it's got order processing time. So we want to know the average order processing time for our orders. So we're creating another measure. Click on the measure table, click on new measure, and then let's just call it average O order processing time. So we'll use the average function and then we'll just put the that particular column inside it. So we drag that in now. You can see that our average data processing time is 3.96. Well, depending on the policy of our company, maybe the standard or the target is that that should actually be 2 days. Then that means we are not doing well. Then we could add some form of visualization or indicator to show that. But we'll just leave this like this for now. Another thing that we want to show is the return rate. If is to show what is happening with our returns. If customers are returning things too much, that means we are losing money that could actually be in our pocket. So we need to also like do something about that too. So we need to know what is our return rate, how are our customers returning stuffs that they got from us. So for that particular one, I'm going to create the measure in steps. Just try to follow through. So the first measure I will create, I'm just going to call it all orders, which is a measure that will calculate the count. I'm going to call it orders, and that measure will just tell us the total orders that we have. If it is like if we count the number of orders we have, okay, we'll just count. We can count any of the columns, but let's count the row ID. So we're going to count the row ID, then so I'll press enter now. So we have this. I'm going to bring this inside. Now we have 994 orders. Let's assume I want to create a slicer now, and this slicer will be for, let's see, I'm going to create a slicer for, let's say, country. So we have one country. I want to create a slicer for category. If I filter this report to furniture, we can see that everything that we have here has changed. But what I actually want, I don't want this order to change because I want to use it in calculating percentage of total, something like a percentage or a ratio. So this part of the measure will be my denominator. I don't want it to change as I filter or use slicers in my report. So to make that happen like that, I will need to edit the measure. So I'm going to come here and then add another measure here called all. So I'm going to write it again. I'll start by writing all using the all measure, and then the column is still, now for the column I'm going to choose the return. Yeah. Then I want to count. I'm going To use count row because all will actually give us something that is more of like a table. So count row, uh what am I having to? Let's look at that again. Okay, let's try to work with this. So now I've edited the mayor. You can have a look at it now. This all part of the function is going to make sure that when I filter the report, this will not actually be affected. So if I filter now, we can see that others are actually changing, but this is not changing. That is the exact behavior that we want, but this is not the final product. We want to find percentage. So now we'll still write a normal count function now. So count, and we still want to count the row ID, then close bracket. Like we are doing like a division. So we are dividing the count over the overall count. Is it giving me what I want? Um okay, this is not giving me what I want yet. Why? Okay, I think I know what is wrong. We are going to use count rows, and we are not going to use the row ID. Let's use, let's use the other ID column. I'm just going to write down mayor first, and then we can now incorporate the two. I hope we are still together. Kindly, can we react here? You can drop a message in the chat if you are still with me. So, new mayor. I'm just going to call this anything for now. And we want to count the other ID column. Okay. I can see my face on the okay, I can see my screen now.
Yes, I think we lost you
When
for a
you're
few
writing your
seconds or so.
okay. When the part of the lesson that we can get from this is that when you're writing your dark smear, it is important to break it down. If you try to write everything at once instead of writing it step by step, only it can scatter. But if you take it step by step, you will know what exactly is wrong and you can backtrack and be fine. So okay, if I press enter now, let's see. Now this is perfect. Now we can see that 8% of our total order was actually returned. If we filter to furniture alone, we can see that the returned furniture order is 2% of our total orders. Okay, so I guess we've been able to achieve what we want, and then we can move on to the other part of the report, which is data visualization. So we want to create some charts. These ones are like the metrics or KPIs that we want to visualize, but at the same time we want to create some charts. Let's create a bar chart that is showing breakdown of our sales by region. So should we use this or this? So let's use this. That's a column chart, not a bar chart. Region. So I'll drag total sales to the y-axis and then regions to the x-axis. So now we can see that the east they have the like highest sales, and then south have the lowest sales. You remember that we brought in the manager. So let's say the person reading this report now, they want to be able to know the manager of each region when they are checking, maybe when they over on this report. So we can add the name of the manager to the tooltip. So I'm going to click on this now, and then we have tooltip here at this last part. So I'm going to click on add, then I'll go and look for manager and add the manager there. So what this means is that if you come here now, if anybody is checking the report and they come here and they over on it, they will see that okay, this is region, that's the total amount, and then this that person is the manager. You can rename it here and let it show as manager alone. So yes, so that is that. Another chart we can format it later, but time has actually gone. We also want to create a bar chart that is showing sales by product category. So sales by product category now. Give me 1 minute. So sales by product category. I'm just going to duplicate this chart by copying it and pasting it. Yes. And then I'll remove the region and then put in product category. Product category. That's category. So now we can see this, but at the same time we can also we can make this we can make it like an hierarchy, though we didn't create an hierarchy. We can create that, or we can drag subcategory under it. So we have this is product subcategory, and I'm just going to drag it here. I think I want to change my chart to a bar chart, which is what I planned initially. So now with this now you can decide to see your sales by product category, or you decide to drill down and then see it by subcategory, or you can select a particular category, right click and then drill down to the subcategories in that particular category. So let me just take it up again. So I think I can hand over now to Mr. Lekan to continue. Hello, sir, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. You can check the private chats. So I think you should just continue so that you'll be able to do two or three more chats and then probably the forecasting and the composition tree so that we end it like that for today. It's almost time. So I wouldn't want to be
Yes,
switching
yes.
and switching. We'll lose a lot of time. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so let's continue. Now, okay, we want to create a line chart, yes, that is going to show us the trends of our that to show us the trends of our sales over time. So we can put our date. The date you select will be the date in your calendar table. So date in the x-axis and then sales in the total sales in the y-axis. So we can see I'm going to make this bigger by clicking on focus mode. So we can see this is our sales trend. We had very high sales on this day. Now, okay, there is a feature in Power BI that can help you to forecast when you have dates and then you have some numerical value. It can help with forecasting. So let's try to use that feature. Oh, I can't use it in focus mode. Okay, so I will come here now and then click on forecast. I'll click on forecast and I can come to the settings to I'll click on more option to customize the forecast better. I think I'm just going to take this to a new page so that we can see it very well. So these are our line chart now. If we go to forecast is already switched on now. So we have these settings that we can set. So here they are saying do you want to forecast maybe by year or quarter or month. I want to choose year and then how many years do you want to forecast for? Let's do 4 years and then you can ignore maybe you feel something you like that last year's data you don't want it. You can say you should ignore the last 1 year or ignore the last 2 years. Okay, the confidence interval is 95%. So I'm just going to click on apply now and then this is our forecasting for the particular period that we chose. So we can see the forecasted value, you can see the upper bound and then the lower bound. With a visualization like this, we can use it in decision making. It can, for example, if high sale is forecasted for a particular quarter or a particular month, it can help you to plan, can help the company to plan how they want to order for product, the number of people maybe they will need to have get more hands during that period and things like that. So the feature can still be manipulated more. There's still a number of things that can be done, but that's just the basic um thing that it can do. So another visual that we actually want to still put here is the decomposition tree. Insert, yeah, this is the decomposition tree. You can see it is under AI visuals in Power BI. There are some visualizations that are referred to as AI visuals. They can help to like, let me say, quickly analyze the data sort of and then just give pointers to some things. So let's try to use it. So what do we want to analyze? We want to analyze our sales. We want to analyze our sales. So what do you want to explain the sales by? Let's say, okay, I want to explain by product category. How is product category really affecting my sales? I want to explain by the customer segment. I want to also explain by customer segment. So I'll drag customer segment here. What else should I explain by? Should we do state? Let's do region. So you can have as much like categorical column as you want to have here. So if I click on plus now, it's going to ask me some things. So what do I want to do? If I choose high value, it means I want to find the value with the highest, the field with the highest value for my metric. I'm going to click on that first, and then we can see here now, we can see here that the consumer segment has higher value. You can still come here and then still choose high value. Now the first one is analyzed by the segment. Now for the consumer segment, now we can see the furniture category add a lot of stake. We don't have any more column. So if you click on this one also, it will kind of show you the trend and what is happening also. If we click on this, same thing will happen. You can do the same thing also. So this will quickly let us know what is actually happening with our sales over the different categories. So I can collapse this now. Even okay, I'm coming. So we can go with, you can, instead of going with high value or low value, you can also choose the category you want to see first. Maybe you want to see the regions first, and then from region, then to the customer segment in each region, and then to the product category. Or maybe after that, then you want to see the high values. So you can use this chart to get insight from your data very quickly and all of that. I think it's already 8 o'clock. The plan is to have something like this and then try to fit everything on our report page and then format it better. We should have sliders over here also, but I believe we get the gist. Yes, so that's it.
So thank you, Messi, and thank you everybody for joining and for staying all the way till the end. The gist is for us to have an idea of how to tackle a problem like this, from the data preparation to data modeling to visualization to how to manage your data. You know, these are the steps that people follow when you're trying to analyze data. And it's a lot of work, although many people will look at the visualization as the main thing, but the bulk of the work will have been done while you're trying to prepare the data, while you're trying to shape and transform the data, while you're trying to come up with a model. So this is what we'll be doing every Power BI diary. It's not just going to be myself and Messi, it's going to be everybody out there. If you want to join any of our sessions, you can just shoot us a message and then you'll be able to join us one of these Thursdays. So the goal again is for us to come together, create a safe haven for aspiring data analysts or data analysts that are like even senior data analysts that can jump in on project and then show people how to actually work on project. The reason for us starting this is we've interacted with many people that have gone through training and they're just there waiting for maybe waiting for opportunities, not knowing what to do, and then yes, they've done the theoretical training, they don't even know how to put all these things together. So coming together by every other Thursday for us to work on project will give us an opportunity of seeing how people approach projects. And that's a one fantastic way of learning data analytics. So thank you, Mercy, for a wonderful job today. We'll see us again in the next 2 weeks where we'll be coming up with another project. But if you're joining us late now, we share the link to the data set. It's there on Facebook, it's there on YouTube, it's also there on LinkedIn. So you have the link to the data set, so you can download the file from the link, and you can follow this video from the beginning again. So you can go over the recordings, and we believe that this will help your data analytics journey. So till we'll meet in 2 weeks' time, enjoy your week and keep learning, and let's keep pushing. So bye bye from me here. Mercy, you want to say one final word before we shut down the live? So thank you, Mercy.
Okay, bye bye everybody. Thanks for joining. See you next time.
2 weeks time. Okay, all right. Bye.